Hello, and welcome to our weekly Genlock discussion and review on Anime Dumpster Dive. I am your host, Jake H. I am joined by my co-host, Anthony,
Hello.
and Coby from the Nerd Blaze.
Hello, happy to be here.
Hi, so Rooster Teeth just came out with a new show. It's not really an anime, but, it has an anime aesthetic, so I'm counting it, called Genlock. And, the first two episodes came out for Rooster Teeth First. We're going to be talking about the first episode today. And do you guys know some of the history behind it?
Enlighten me.
Yeah, no, I don't. I know. Being a Rooster Teeth fan myself, I know that Gray Haddock, the producer for the whole thing, I know that he's pretty much written and directed this whole little project of his, and I know that he's really freaking stoked about it. So that's about it.
Well, yeah. Well,
I know your excitement from it.
You know my excitement.
You're just like, you gotta watch this. I was like, okay, it's an anime. Michael B. Jordan's in it. What? Macy Williams is in it. What?
Yeah, the really big star-studded cast for this show. Gray, who is the writer for it, is a big Gundam, mech fan, and so this is kind of like his mech dream, come to life. And it is, I think he's an executive producer. Is Michael B. Jordan?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it stars Michael B. Jordan, and it has this very star-studded cast for a Rooster Teeth property. And so there was all this hype surrounding it for about 2 years now, and it for me does not disappoint.
It's definitely. I went in with high expectations, and so far, just based on this first episode, I'm very excited to see the potential that this show has.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Okay.
All things considered, we attend Rooster Teeth, the RTX every single year, and I remember when this was teased. This was during a Ruby panel that I sat in on, and it was. I was stoked then. I was stoked when it came out. We just finished the entire season of Ruby and got episode 1 of Genlock in the same day. It was great.
It was fantastic. And, me and Anthony have been big fans of Rooster Teeth, like you said. We've watched a lot of the shows, such as Red vs. Blue and Ruby, and I know Coby has watched at least the first 3 volumes of Ruby.
I did watch Red vs. Blue when it was back few seasons. At the beginning seasons, I watched a lot of it, and then I didn't know it kept going.
And you know, it kept going for 17 plus
17,
years.
and then I was like,
I'm
way too far behind.
What? Because I'd say the closest property that Rooster Teeth has to Genlock is Ruby. So, what do you guys think? How does it compare so far? In animation wise, because Ruby has been really praised for its action sequences in its animation. So, Genlock, we have that one scene so far where they're flying. It's that whole jet scene sequence. Mm-hmm. How do you guys think that stacks up?
To me, I thought that was amazing, that jet sequence in general. This whole aesthetic is one that's difficult, at least for me, to latch onto, to really appreciate. It took a while for Ruby to be okay, I'm invested in the story now because the animation was different than what I was normally doing, normally watching. And this one was the same way. It's the first episodes, this first minutes of this episode is an adjustment. But as soon as I adjusted and it got to the jet scene and the fight scene, I was like, man, there's so much potential with this type of animation style that's just beautiful and sharp and crisp. And I think we're just in for some really phenomenal action sequences.
Yeah, I agree too. It doesn't call on to the standard anime, animation style. It's not going to be 2D animated. I dig the whole 3D, animation that we see, like Jake had mentioned in Ruby. I'd say that it stacks up really, really well. I was really impressed. Honestly, it left me at the end of episode 1 looking to see if there was, and this is going to sound bad, but I looked to see if there was anybody else that was working on the project as well. Not to discredit anything that they're working on over there. It's just, it was a surprise in the greatest way. It's if they have come that far, I cannot wait to see how the rest of the season turns out. It's so cool. It definitely It sure did knock my socks off.
Said that so authoritatively. Knock my socks off.
For me, the first thought I had was, I was like, oh, so like this is what happens when you give that animation team like a big budget, and like that. It like I was just looking at it, and I was a little worried at first, just because I really don't like CGI animation. And so when we have that opening sequence of him at his parents' house, I thought everything was really cool because like I'm digging like the technology in this world. But then like it's a very similar problem I have with Ruby. It seems like no one wants to animate people walking or people eating like too fluidly. So it kind of almost looks robotic. But then the action sequence happens and the plane's flying amazingly. The robot, like the tank, like the basic robots, like the ones with the like guns on them. I don't know what they're called. Those were moving pretty fluidly, and I was like, "This is great. This is really cool." And so it did start. It started making me think it was moving in the right direction at that point.
My biggest concern with it, just because some of those action sequences look so awesome, is that this is the pilot episode. Usually for TV shows, you funnel all your money into the pilot episode and then the final episode to give it like a bit of a budget boost, and it kind of levels out somewhere in the middle. So I agree with you that there's like at least some blocky movements, and I guess time will tell whether that the consistent quality in the first episode is going to remain throughout the remainder of the... How many episodes in this season is this going to be? Is this 13 episodes?
I think there's going to be 8.
Oh, wow, I was way off. 8 in these 8 episodes. So hopefully that's hopefully a good thing. Hopefully the smaller episode order means that more money can be put into each episode instead of stretching it out to 13 episodes. So hopefully, but we'll see.
And I think we should add at that point, since even though it's going to be a shorter season, the episodes are about 3 times longer than the average like Rooster Teeth content when it comes to the animated series. Like Ruby episodes are about 15 minutes long. So this pilot episode was like 34 minutes long. So it didn't feel like it. That's another thing too. Like the pacing of the story, it didn't feel long at all. Like I actually was like, oh man, like Rooster Teeth really needs to start increasing the length of these. Oh, that was 34 minutes. Never mind. That was.
Yeah.
We in this first episode we actually have a couple of big Hollywood names, or Hollywood names in at least, voicing some characters in this. We have Michael B. Jordan voicing our lead of Julian Chase, and we have Dakota Fanning voicing. Let me look at her name.
Is it like Miranda?
It is, Miranda Worth.
Yeah.
So, I would like to use this moment right now to acknowledge that Dakota Fanning as Miranda Worth. Like, I don't know how Dakota Fanning sounds now.
I thought it wasn't that. Like, I would give me a million guesses. I would not have guessed that was Dakota Fanning.
Yeah,
if I didn't know it was her.
No, but I was like, because I was sitting there and I was like, who's this voice actress? Because she's great. And then I was like, oh wait a minute, that's Dakota Fanning. I'm like, oh okay, she's a lot different than I remember her. I think the last thing I saw her in was, I was talking with Coby about this before, Push.
Yeah,
that was years ago.
Years ago, she was a kid then.
Yeah, and so I'm very impressed with Dakota Fanning.
Do you think she's better than Michael B. Jordan in this?
Considering, like, I feel like Chase really didn't talk that much. I feel like she talked more than he did in this episode, because he does disappear for like that good chunk.
Yeah,
and she like talks more, but I think he did okay-ish. It kind of felt like he was, I don't know, just talking, not voice acting. If that makes any sense.
No, I totally get it, because I agree with you. I think of all of the voice cast, I mean, he's good, but I think everybody else was kind of brought more of an A game than he did. It's like his isn't bad, but just standing next to everybody else so far, just in this first episode, and maybe that's because he didn't have a whole lot to do. He didn't have a big speech or monologue. He was kind of more regulated to kind of one lines like "cool" or "how you doing" or "whoa," it's like short
good times roll.
Tell my mom I love her. It felt a little disjointed, but again, hopefully that develops more as these episodes go on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I can definitely attest to that. I agree with both of you. I thought that Dakota Fanning did a great job, and I'm excited to see where her character goes. And I mean, just when it comes down to just the writing too, the writing of the show is done. I love it. It's working for me, especially in the scenes that needed to be a little heavier. It was written in a manner and directed in a way that holy crap, that particular scene where Miranda's sitting in the, I don't want to call it a mech, but when she's sitting in the walker, and she starts crying, that got me. That would hit me. Yeah, that got me. I was like, I'm not crying, you're crying.
Get out of here.
But I mean, yeah, exactly. Just the way that it's written, I think that is also something to kind of attest to. I mean, I know that we're only, one episode deep, but I'm excited to see, where it leads, And on the topic of voice actors, we also get introduced to another big voice actor during this episode too.
Oh yeah, we get introduced to Dr. I get the name wrong when I talk about him. Weller. Yeah. Dr. Rufus Weller, who is voiced by David Tennant, who is fantastic.
Crazy.
He can tell he's having so much fun with this role.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just perfectly suited for him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he, when he first walks in and he just starts, sounding, really jumpy and going from, stuff, it really, shows off his talent and makes you realize that this character is really excited about something. And I'm like, oh, damn, yeah. I'm excited now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something that this pilot, I think, does great is it makes me ask questions about, what's next in the show. Because a lot of pilots, I feel like I watch and I kind of just go, okay, well, when's the next episode? I'll watch that. But with this one, almost immediately when Chase shows up after being declared dead for 4 years, I went, "What is he? Is he a ghost? Is Shinlock ghost?"
Yeah.
That was funny.
It's a lot to. Well, I like how this episode one, a really fun thing. It's this episode's called The Pilot and not just Pilot, which is just a fun little thing that I think of. But on the topic of kind of the world building and the questions that it raises, I don't know honestly if it's a good or bad thing that they didn't go into the reasons why the Vanguard and the Union are fighting, why they're really at war. I think in this first episode, the bad guys are the Union. The Union's the bad guys.
Yes.
They're but they're kind of faceless in terms of their motivations and why they're fighting in general. Usually in these types of shows, it would come with a precursor about what's causing this war between these two sides and why. But this one kind of bypasses that and just says these guys are bad. They're swarming the city, and somehow they've infiltrated the city too. There's Union members, the civilian who flashed his Union badge so he didn't get nanoized or something. So I'm both curious that they got me invested in wanting to know more, but I'm wondering if they should have done more, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Into explaining the two sides.
Yeah, I would kind of guess too. This is something that me and Jake agree on, kind of for the most part too. Is that I really hate when a show really holds my hand, in explaining things like that. But honestly, with that particular kind of point, I would have liked a little context to kind of know where this kind of conflict is coming from, and they kind of showed that too, right at the beginning, when Chase's mom is watching that newscast. I wish that even just in that moment, if that little just 10-second spot just ran for just a little bit longer, perhaps then we could have seen a little context, something along the lines of this war has been going on for years, blah, 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 blah. But to Jake's point too, it really does make me ask questions. It really does. It gets me invested. I'm hooked. I'm ready for episode 2.
Well, here's like another thing, and for me, I feel like this is kind of a weird way to go about it. But they released like multiple Genlock, like info dumps, like beforehand, like a lot of background on the different characters, different pilots that we'll eventually meet, and I think some on the Union and the Vanguard. And I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, do you think that having to... It's almost like doing research for a show that you want to watch, where it's like, here, you have to watch these things to understand certain things. Like, I'm just hoping they're not, like, big plot points, like, in the show, like, where you had to have watched those videos for you to understand certain things. Like, I watched one on... one of the pilots that are like coming up. I think on the one that's going to be voiced by Macy Williams, and it's like, oh, she's a hacker and she got denied to like this from the program. And I'm like, I hope that doesn't come up. I really hope that like either they say it in the show, but I'm hope that it's not supposed to act like, oh, you watched that video.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough when you have those types of videos seem to work when it's like a show that won't generate a lot of buzz because you're trying to generate buzz with these trailers. But when the show drops and then someone like me who just saw the internet kind of blow up with like a new anime starring Michael B. Jordan and Macy Williams and Dakota Fanning, as a casual viewer of that's like, oh, I want to check that show out, but I wouldn't have known to go check out all the videos beforehand. So it's just like finding that balance that I just think it's difficult. I guess as this pilot episode, they don't need all that backstory and introduction because they're just introducing good guys, bad guys, main characters. This is the story going forward. Animation looks awesome. Let's move forward type thing, and we'll answer that later. But it's I don't know. But overall, I mean, I still dig it.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I'm a little afraid, though, that those particular videos are going to have just a little bit of detrimental knowledge. That's what I am afraid of, to Jake's point. Like, I have complained about certain shows not providing contextual clues for, like, previous knowledge, specifically in the form of, like, needing to play the game before watching the show to develop the characters or, something along those lines. Like, I don't like see Rooster Teeth like setting it up that way, and like I'm like really banking on the writing being that much better that it's just going to be alleviated in the terms of like, yeah, we probably will get an information heavy episode probably sometime in the near future,
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I would like to see, anyways.
Okay, well, to be like like on the side of Rooster Teeth on like this decision in when Ruby got released, they showed the red, white, black, and yellow trailers, and the black trailer actually had a big plot point happen in it, and they don't reference the trailer specifically, but they do like explain the scenes that happened in that trailer. So like, but not like you had to have seen that trailer to understand.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, so like next on my little topic list here is at the end of this episode we do get the opening or intro.
Yeah.
Thing. And oh my gosh, is that freaking like that was instantly added to my running playlist.
It's
that's
kick-ass,
so
yeah.
good. It's so good.
It's kick-ass, yeah.
Yeah. Like we talked a lot about openings on our respective podcasts, and man, this opening's so good. It's just
It's so great because even I, for one, am not one who likes who cares as much about visuals as I do the song. But this one, the song is awesome, and this one, the visuals are awesome too. And I'm not one who normally cares about the visuals, but it's so cool on all levels here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I thought that the visuals are cool. The animation is cool. It just gives me like sometimes like I know that this has come up on some discussions that we've had, where the trailer or the opening or the end sequence gives away too much. But honestly, this opening sequence just like it just ramps me up like to see more. Like, man, I can't wait. Yeah. I'm watching a mech show for a reason, like I want the mechs.
And I gotta say that with the opening, like we get introduced to like what I imagine will be the like the finished looking mechs, because we kind of like in this episode we kind of saw how like the first level Genlock mechs look.
Right.
And then in the opening, we see these, like, advanced ones, and I can't wait to get to that part. Like, that part looks... Those are... I will say right now, Julian Chase's mech is my favorite design. I love, like, jets and everything, and so seeing him... Like, seeing his mech have, like, that jet built into it, I was just like, oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to know who's in the Rabbit Girl mech.
Who's in the Rabbit Girl?
That looks good. That looks cool. I want that one.
Skating around shooting.
Yeah.
All right, and so then finally, something I want to talk about here is Rooster Teeth shows are known to go for years. Red vs. Blue has gone for, like, is entering its 17th season. Ruby's at volume 6, with, like, there seems to be an end in sight, but I think we've hit, like, the halfway point. So, Genlock is star-studded. Like, there's, like, hell, Michael B. Jordan's the lead. What do you guys think is the lifespan of the show? Like, do you think that at some point they would have to recast to keep going, or do you think that they want to have a start and finish with the cast that they have?
I think in terms of investment for the actors, I don't think they'd have to recast because Michael B. Jordan's an executive producer on this. So if the show is doing well because he's a name draw, then he's going to want to keep the show going. David Tennant seems to love doing voice things. He's just starting his own podcast, and he voiced Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, and he voiced the bad guy in Final Space.
Sure, yeah. So he's invested in the voice cast. Macy Williams, I think, might have some struggle transitioning out of post Game of Thrones, which this show's going to do. So this is always going to be a nice, comfy thing for her to do. And Dakota Fanning, it's not like she's been around. She was in a TNT series last year, which I didn't watch, called The Alienist.
It's really good.
Is it really good?
It's pretty good.
Oh, okay. Well, I know she was in it. That's about all I know of it. So I think this seems like a fun enough show, and Rooster Teeth is going to have the incentive to keep this going. Story-wise, I think 4 seasons is good, maybe 5. That's my prediction.
Okay.
I would love if we got 3 seasons out of this, and I would be ecstatic if we got 4 or 5. Like I'm hoping for 3. Maybe if they go like, because how long was the original Ruby season? I want to say it was shorter than Volume 2, right?
I think the original Ruby season was 10 or 12 episodes.
Yeah, and I think Volume 2 was quite a few episodes longer. I think it was like 15 or 16.
I think it was like 15, 16.
So that's what I would like to see out of this. Perhaps, like we get an 8 episode first season, and then specifically with like season 2 and 3, like hopefully we get somewhere close to like 12 or 14 episodes. Like I would like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But does the story warrant it? I mean, like this is it's very. I don't know how you build from it as a side of Vanguard versus Union. Can you stretch out that conflict satisfyingly for multiple seasons at a time?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the same could be said for like, I mean, I know that you guys were watching the most recent season of Gundam, right?
Me? No.
No.
I was not.
No, what were you guys reviewing recently?
We watched like one episode. No, wait,
Voltron. Voltron. You guys
Voltron.
were
Voltron.
What I meant. So I mean, there we go. It's a mech show. It's been going for a while. So I think that if they could squeeze out with just the writing and everything.
I was like, Voltron's a bad example. That's a show that should have ended 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, it really did.
Okay. Well, maybe not. Maybe not that. Cut that part. We can cut that part.
Well, yeah, like I guess Voltron is a good example because Voltron is a series that went, we beat the bad guy. Here's a new bad guy. Here's a new bad guy, and it kind of just gets stale. So I feel like what Genlock should focus on is developing the bad guys that they will have, and maybe sticking with those guys instead of like, let's say after 3 seasons they beat the Union, and then they're like, oh, everything's good, and then aliens attack, and then they have to fight the aliens, and then at that point it's kind of like, all right, when do I drop the show?
Yeah, like the Union, you will find out at the end of season 2 is that the Union weren't actually the bad guys, that they were doing this to protect Earth from the bigger threat that's coming, which is the other stuff. That's my prediction right now.
That's your prediction right now? That's what you're calling?
Yeah, that's it. Union's actually the good guys.
Oh.
Union's the good guys. Coby's hot take.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. We don't know the union side yet about what they want. I mean, sure, they're attacking New York City, but maybe this is a technologically advanced city that shuns the technologically impaired and the old people, and this New York is actually a cesspool of the rich and privileged, while there's a whole third world out there who can't do it. And so that's what the union believes.
All right, I will get you a new box of tinfoil for your new tinfoil hat.
Well, I mean, okay. Let's go ahead and let's wrap up the video with Coby started us off. I want to do this now. A theory on what do you think is going to happen later on in Genlock? Anthony, your turn.
Oh, okay. Well, Ghost Michael B. Jordan. He starts playing basketball, and we get to watch a Genlock basketball crossover for the whole season. No, I'm just kidding. In all seriousness, I think it's on the moon.
You think Genlock's on the moon?
I think.
Like they're going to the moon, or it's a twist?
No, I think it all takes place on the moon. That's the big surprise. That's the reveal.
All right. My tinfoil hat theory is Chase's mom is part of the union, because solely based on the part where she sees New York getting attacked and she looks at her daughter and she goes, "We're going," and she like points, and I'm like, she knew it was happening. That's my take.
I bet she's got something to do with the Genlock program.
That's what you think?
That's what I'm changing my answer to.
I want to change mine as well to something more plausible. Is that actually, I think Dr. Rufus is going to turn out to be the ultimate big bad of the show.
Oh. Ooh.
That either, I don't think he's aligned with the union, but he's so apart. He's like, screw the Vanguard, screw the union. I want my stuff. Because David Tennant voices a great good guy, because we know, but he also voices a great bad guy. So
yeah, that's very true.
Okay.
My prediction. Sticking with that one.
All right. Well, this was really fun talking with you guys about the first episode of Genlock. I definitely look forward to the rest of this season. We'll be releasing these episodes on the public release of every Genlock episode. So, see you next week when we talk about episode 2.
Bye.
Bye.
I didn't want to say it already.
Hello and welcome to the fucking fuck.
Welcome. That's not the show.
That's what we're doing here.
That's not the show.
Horribly misinformed.
Okay,
I was brought here under false pretenses.
Hello and welcome to not the anime. I'm doing it again. I'm so ingrained in the Anime Dumpster Dive podcast that I can't. Hello and welcome to our weekly Genlock discussion and review on Anime Dumpster Dive. I am your host, JK. I didn't even say what we're talking about. Fuck!
Let's do a shot. Because they're not shallow dives, right?
He's gonna do it. Kobe's like, he's not gonna do it. He's gonna do it, and then I did it, and then I didn't say the show.
I was laughing so hard because we were gonna say, we're laughing so hard because this is like our 8th try.